True love is not just a fleeting emotion, it is a blessing from Allah, a divine gift that always arrives at the perfect moment. In a world where impatience and illusions often take over, it is easy to lose oneself and doubt, will I ever meet the right person? Does this person really exist for me? But remember, Allah never forgets His servants. Every destiny is already written in the preserved tablet, Al-Law al-Mahfuz, and every soul is destined to meet the one who complements their faith and heart. In this video, I want to remind you of a powerful truth. Your future soulmate is on the way. Allah is already sending you feelings, intuitions, and subtle signs to prepare you for this unique moment. Perhaps you feel a desire to draw closer to Allah, to purify your heart, to work on yourself. These are not coincidences. They are messages, spiritual keys that your Creator offers you to guide you toward this blessed encounter. The goal of this video is clear: to help you understand these signs, to recognize the inner peace that Allah can place in your heart when He brings you closer to the right person. Together, we will explore what the Quran, the Sunnah, and the scholars say about the notion of destiny in love, the importance of patience, sabr, and total trust, tawakkul, in Allah. So stay until the end, because this message could well be the one that changes your perspective and helps you wait serenely for the person your heart calls to. 1. Understanding the concept of soulmate in Islam. In Islam, the concept of soulmate is not presented in the same way as in movies or romantic stories. It is not an idea of magical destiny where two people find each other by chance, solely through the impulse of the heart. Islam teaches us that every pure and blessed relationship is built on the foundation of faith, respect, and divine will. Allah reminds us in the Quran, and among His signs is that He created for you mates from among yourselves, that you may find rest in them, and He has placed between you affection and kindness. Surah Ar-Rum, verse 21. The sublime verse shows us that marriage and the meeting of a spouse are not a mere coincidence, but a sign from Allah, a mercy that brings serenity, sakina, and love, al-mawada. The Arabic word zawj means partner, pair, complement. In the Islamic vision, every soul has its perfect complement intended to help it progress in its faith and in its life. Contrary to the myth of the romantic soulmate popularized by movies, Islam teaches that true love is a choice and a commitment. It is not just a flame that burns at first sight, but a relationship built with patience, understanding, and above all, the blessing of Allah. There is no need to search high and low as if the ideal person is hiding somewhere. For the one destined for you will come at the time appointed by Allah. The Prophet said, "Marriage is part of my tradition, sunnah, and whoever turns away from my tradition is not of me," reported by Ibn Majah. Marriage is therefore not just a social union or a love affair, it is an act of faith, a way to fulfill half of one's religion. The Prophet also said, "When a servant marries, he has completed half of his religion," reported by Bayhaqi. These words show that a soulmate in Islam is the one who will help you draw closer to Allah, protect your modesty, and live a balanced and blessed life. She is not necessarily perfect like in fairy tales, but she is the one Allah has chosen for you to complete your faith. It is therefore essential to purify one's intentions and to ask Allah to guide our choices through supplication, dua, and prayer of consultation, istikhara. Rather than fantasizing about an ideal soulmate, we must understand that the true soulmate is the one who, by the will of Allah, will lead us to be better believers and to walk together on the path of good. 2. Allah's signs that the right person is coming. Allah is the perfect organizer of our lives. When the right person approaches, he often places subtle but powerful signs in the hearts of believers to give them confidence and remind them that nothing is left to chance. These signs are not always visible to the naked eye, but they are deeply felt through faith, events, and inner peace. 1. Increased faith and spirituality. One of the first signs Allah sends is an elevation in your spiritual state. You begin to feel a stronger desire to draw closer to Allah, to perform your prayers with more concentration, and to make sincere dua for your future. This need to purify yourself internally is not simply a coincidence. Allah is preparing you to receive a blessing and is making you ready for a relationship based on solid foundations. You may also be more drawn to Islamic readings, understanding the hadiths on marriage, or you may feel a sudden spiritual awakening. 2. Inner serenity and the disappearance of certain fears. Another powerful sign is the feeling of sakina, deep peace. Even if you don't know exactly who this person is, your heart becomes calmer, as if knowing that everything is already in Allah's hands. The worries, doubts, or impatience that previously weighed on you begin to subside. You feel deep down that the time is approaching and that you don't need to force things. This inner peace is a divine gift. 3. Meaningful coincidences and outward signs. Sometimes, repetitive events occur. Conversations about marriage often come up. Sincere people offer you ideas, or you hear reminders about patience and destiny at the very moment you were wondering. These coincidences are actually divine winks reminding you that Allah orchestrates everything in your life. 4. Testimonies from those who have experienced these signs. Many married people say that before meeting their future husband or wife, they felt an inexplicable sense of calm. Amina, for example, recounts that she had been making dua for months. Then one day, she felt an intense peace after a morning prayer, Fajr, as if Allah was whispering to her that her prayer would be answered. 3 weeks later, she received a marriage proposal from a pious brother she had never met before. Yasin, for his part, recounts that before meeting the woman who would become his wife, he suddenly felt the desire to change, to draw closer to Allah, to purify himself. It was as if his heart knew that an important milestone was approaching. These stories are not spectacular miracles, but gentle signs that Allah sends to strengthen faith and patience. 5. The importance of tawakkul, total trust in Allah. Sometimes the signs are there, but the greatest test is letting go of control and trusting completely in Allah. Tawakkul means making the necessary efforts, such as preparing, remaining open to lawful opportunities, while having the certainty that what is destined will come without you having to force it. The Prophet said, "Know that what has befallen you could not miss you, and what you missed could not befall you," reported by Tirmidhi. This statement perfectly sums up the journey towards your soulmate. Allah's signs are not meant to make you impatient, but to reassure you, "I hear you, I have heard you, and the perfect time is coming." 3. The clear feelings Allah places in your heart. When Allah wants to guide you to a person who will benefit your faith and your life, He places feelings and intuitions in your heart that are not mere passing desires. These emotions have a special depth. They bring peace, certainty, and inner light. They are not based on the fear of loneliness or superficial attraction, but on a gentle conviction that this person is a blessing. 1. Inner peace and serenity of heart. One of the most powerful signs of Allah's guidance is the feeling of tranquility when you think of someone. Your heart does not stir with confusion or anxiety. Rather, it feels at peace, as if it has found a natural resonance. This serenity, sakina, is often described as a breath of divine calm, a feeling that compels you to draw closer to Allah rather than away from Him. It is important to understand that this feeling of peace is not limited to the person themselves, but extends to the idea of the future with them. You feel a desire to build something pure and lasting and not just a fleeting passion. 2. Differentiate desire from divine guidance. Many people confuse their desires with divine signs. For example, feeling a strong attachment or physical attraction does not always mean that Allah has chosen that person for you. The difference is recognized in the nature of the emotion. Desire is often accompanied by obsession, a lack of clarity, and impatience. Divine guidance, on the other hand, is accompanied by calmness, lucidity, and an absence of fear. Another criterion is spiritual compatibility. A person who is a gift from Allah naturally compels you to do good, to pray more, and to purify your heart. If, on the contrary, the relationship distracts you from your prayers or plunges you into confusion, this may be a sign that this is not the path intended by Allah. 3. Strong intuitions given by Allah. Sometimes, Allah places in the heart of the believer a feeling of certainty about a person, for no apparent logical reason. You may feel a sense of calm when you think of them. Spontaneous invocations for this person without even intending to, a feeling of certainty, as if your heart already knew that this relationship would be blessed. These intuitions do not replace rational steps, such as getting to know the other person, consulting others, and praying istikhara, but they are often a first indicator of what your soul perceives as beneficial. 4. Concrete examples of guidance from the heart. Nadia recounts that before meeting her future husband, she regularly made dua to find a pious man. When a brother introduced himself, she felt an unusual peace during the istikhara prayer, no hesitation, just a calm certainty, like a silent response from Allah. Omar, for his part, testifies that when he met the woman who would become his wife, he immediately felt his heart soften. He wanted to pray more, to draw closer to Allah, as if this person were a means of spiritual elevating himself. 5. The istikhara prayer. Confirmation of feelings. Even if Allah already places intuitions in your heart, the believer never trusts only their emotions. Salat al-istikhara, prayer of consultation, is the best way to confirm whether these feelings truly come from Allah. After this prayer, if your heart remains at peace and the doors open naturally, it is often a sign that the path is right. Chapter 4. Actions to take to welcome this person. Knowing that your future soulmate is on the way doesn't mean you should wait idly by. Islam teaches us that faith always goes hand in hand with action. Allah loves believers who make the effort to prepare themselves, purify their intentions, and welcome the blessings He sends them. Your future encounter will be all the more beautiful if you have worked on yourself and taken the right steps. 1. Purify your intention and work on yourself. First and foremost, you must ask yourself this question. Why do I want to get married? Why do you want to meet your soulmate? If your main motivation is the fear of loneliness or the desire for an ideal worldly life, you may be on the wrong path. But if you want to marry to complete your faith, build a lawful relationship, and please Allah, then your intention is pure. Working on yourself is a crucial step. Improve your character. Be more patient, more forgiving. Because life as a couple is a path of trials and love. Develop your faith, strengthen your prayer, increase your acts of charity. Because Allah gives good people to those who are themselves sincere and good. Cultivate patience, sabr. Haste often leads to regrettable choices. Marriage, in Islam, must be thoughtful and based on peace of mind, not on impulse. 2. The importance of prayer. Istikhara and connection with Allah. The istikhara prayer, prayer of consultation, is one of the believer's greatest weapons when faced with a choice. When you meet someone and are seriously considering a union, pray this prayer with sincerity. It doesn't necessarily give you a clear vision, but it does give you signs, an open heart and inner peace, if the path is right. Obstacles or blockages, if the person isn't right for you. The Prophet taught this prayer, saying, "Whoever performs the istikhara prayer will never regret it," reported by Tabarani. It is also advisable to make dua regularly. Ask Allah, "O Allah, guide me to the person who is best for my faith, my life, and my future." Sometimes, the right person comes along at the time when we are closest to Allah. 3. Consult with your loved ones and trusted people. Islam always encourages shura, consultation. Talk to your parents, pious friends, or trusted people when you are considering marriage. Their advice is invaluable because they can see things you don't know, especially if your feelings are blinding you. Asking the opinion of your loved ones also helps you maintain Allah's barakah, blessings. Marriages where the family is involved and where everything is done according to the rules are often more blessed. Prepare yourself psychologically and financially. Marriage is a responsibility. Before meeting the right person, work on yourself psychologically. Learn to communicate better, manage conflict, and be an emotional support. If you are a man, prepare yourself to assume financial responsibilities and be a protector for your family. If you are a woman, prepare yourself to be a partner who builds, supports, and inspires faith and love. 5. Practical tips for recognizing and accepting the person chosen by Allah. When you meet someone, observe their faith and values. Piety, sincerity, and respect for religious obligations are clear signs. Take the time to get to know the person in a lawful setting. A relationship based on respect and honesty will always last longer than one based on appearance or simple infatuation. Don't rely solely on initial feelings. Even if Allah places inner peace within you, remain attentive to practical signs, compatibility, mutual respect, and a vision of life together. 6. Show gratitude and patience. Finally, thank Allah for every step, even the delays. Sometimes, meeting the right person is delayed not to punish you, but to prepare and elevate you. Every moment spent working on yourself brings you a little closer to the happiness you deserve. 5. Mistakes to avoid. In the search for a soulmate, many fall into traps that distance them from the peace and guidance of Allah. Marriage is a sacred and blessed step, but social pressures and personal desires can cloud our vision. Understanding the mistakes to avoid is therefore essential to moving forward with peace of mind. Or none, rushing for fear of being alone. The fear of loneliness is a feeling many experience, especially when they see their friends or relatives marry before them. But haste is often a challenge in disguise. Marrying solely to fill an emotional void can lead to an ill-considered choice, based on urgency rather than true compatibility. The Prophet said, "Haste comes from Satan," reported by Tirmidhi. This saying teaches us that major decisions must be made with reflection and trust in Allah. Patience, sabr, is one of the most beautiful traits of a believer. Your soulmate will come at Allah's appointed time, neither sooner nor later. Chapter 2. Confusing divine signs with personal illusions. It is common to believe that every strong emotion is a sign from Allah. But not all the sensations we experience come from divine guidance. A simple crush or physical attraction should not be interpreted as a sign that this person is meant for you. True signs from Allah are accompanied by inner peace, clarity, and a strengthening of your faith, not anxiety or confusion. To avoid this mistake, it is essential to remain lucid, make sincere dua, and especially pray istikhara to ask Allah to clarify your feelings. Don't let illusions take over. 3. Being guided by society rather than faith. Today's society often imposes a vision of marriage and love that is far removed from Islam. Movies, social media, and even certain cultural traditions encourage the belief that the perfect marriage is based on appearance, wealth, or unrealistic romantic scenarios. But the believer must remember that the success of a marriage is based on faith, mutual respect, and sincerity. Allah says in the Quran, "The believing men and women are allies to one another." Surah At-Tawbah, verse 71. This reminds us that marriage is, above all, a spiritual partnership. If you seek to follow worldly standards, you risk turning away from what Allah intended best for you. 4. Neglecting advice and consultation. Another common mistake is wanting to decide on your own. Pride or fear of judgment sometimes prevents you from seeking advice from pious parents or relatives. Yet, Islam values consultation, shura, because it protects us from bad choices and illusions. 5. Not preparing yourself. Many people wait for their soulmate without making the effort to improve themselves. How can you hope for a pious, stable, and sincere person if you don't work to be the best version of yourself? The mistake is to believe that love or marriage will solve all problems. On the contrary, marriage reveals our strengths and weaknesses. We must prepare for it seriously. 6. Inspiring testimonies and stories. The true stories of people who met their soulmate through patience, prayer, and trust in Allah are among the most motivating. They show that even when everything seems difficult, Allah's will always manifests His wisdom. The story of Samira and Yunus. Patience. Rewarded Samira was 32 years old and saw all her friends married. She felt as if her destiny was closing in, but she never stopped making sincere dua every night. She regularly recited the istikhara prayer, asking Allah, "O Allah, send me someone who will strengthen my faith and with whom I can walk towards you." One day, through a sister at the mosque, she met Yunus, a discreet, pious brother who had also waited for years without rushing. Their union was so simple and blessed that she often says today, each prayer was actually a silently prepared answer. 2. Ahmed's story. When your soulmate arrives at the perfect time. Ahmed had always believed he should marry young. At 25, after several failed attempts, he chose to refocus on his faith, prayer, reading the Quran, giving charity, and improving his character. He stopped actively seeking, but he continued to invoke Allah. 2 years later, unexpectedly, a friend introduced him to a pious woman, Hafsa, who exactly matched the qualities he had always sought in his supplications. Ahmed says, "When Allah intends something for you, you don't need to run. She finds her way to you." Aisha's story. Faith above all. Aisha had received several marriage proposals, but nothing seemed right. She decided to take a step back and put her faith at the center. She intensified her prayers and began reading the Quran daily. Shortly after, she had a calming dream after an istikhara prayer. as if it were divine confirmation. A few weeks later, a pious brother proposed to her. She now says, "What opened the doors for me was not the frantic search, but the return to Allah." Part 4. Motivating anecdotes. A young couple recounts that before they met, they often made the same dua. "O Allah, send me someone who will help me enter paradise." The day they met, they discovered they had used the exact same words in their prayers. Another brother, who had lost hope after numerous rejections, chose to devote 40 days to praying at dawn, Salat al-Fajr, to seek guidance. On the 40th day, he received a call from a friend who put him in touch with the woman who would become his wife. These stories remind us of an essential lesson. What is written for you will come to you, but patience and faith are the key. The Prophet said, "None of you will truly have faith until he believes that what befell him could not have avoided him, and that what avoided him could not have befallen him," reported by Tirmidhi. Throughout this inner journey, we have discovered that meeting your soulmate is not a matter of chance or haste, but a manifestation of Allah's wisdom. Every step of your life, every expectation, every trial is part of a divine plan that prepares you to welcome what is best for you. Nothing is done without Allah's permission, and what is written for you will never pass you by. Chapter 1. Summary of key points. Your soulmate is a predestined blessing. Allah has already mapped out this path, even if you don't see it yet. The clear feelings He places in your heart are signs, but they must always be confirmed through prayer, patience, and reflection. Concrete actions, such as working on yourself, purifying your intention, and consulting Allah through istikhara, prepare you to welcome the right person. We must avoid mistakes, haste, illusions, or seeking something motivated by society rather than by faith. Inspiring testimonies show that patience and faith always lead to the most beautiful encounter. 2. Message of hope. If Allah has placed a pure desire in your heart, that of marrying to complete your faith and live a lawful relationship, it means that He is already preparing your future. This desire is like a seed. It must be watered with prayer, patience, and absolute trust in Allah. Remember this magnificent verse. You may hate something while it is good for you, and you may love something while it is bad for you. Allah knows, but you do not know. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 2 and 16. Even if things do not happen according to your schedule, know that Allah's timing is perfect. Each day of waiting is a silent preparation for a future that will fulfill you. 3. Final invitation. Continue to make sincere dua. Speak to Allah as you would to a close friend, telling Him your hopes and fears. Prepare yourself internally. Improve your faith, your character, and your vision of your relationship. Remain confident. Your future is not in the hands of others, but in the hands of Allah. Your soulmate is on the way, and when you meet, you will understand why all these years of waiting were meaningful.